But
Maybe
as we light up
pale.
in regular fashion, Robert has a question.
Okay, so say I'm smoking this cigar, and I get to about halfway, and I decide I want to save this for later. So I put it out. Can I put it back in my humidor?
Ooh, that is a great question. And I'm going to tell you this. I would never put a cigar that I burned back into my humidor for a couple of reasons. Reason number one, it's going to make your humidor smell like ash. It's just a fact of life. You burn something, it has that hue to it. It's going to make your humidor smell like ash. So I would not advise it for that. Second of all, whenever you do burn a cigar, for me, there's a shelf life on it at that point. If you're not going to come back to it, probably in like the next 20 minutes, I would say don't relight it. I mean, you can cut it off, where it burned and try to smoke it again, but you're not going to get the same experience that you would have if you did, straight smoking it down and not reburning it. But I'd say about 20-minute shelf life. I mean, some people will say like an hour, but I definitely wouldn't go longer than that.
Overnight.
Yeah, I wouldn't do overnight. That's me personally. But it's a personal thing. Honestly, it's a personal preference. For me, if you let it sit overnight, it's just going to taste like a big ash to me.
Most of the time, yeah.
Yeah, so that's why I say, for me, don't do it.
I think I've read this in numerous places over the years, but I think the going answer to that question is, don't put that back in your humidor. What the hell is wrong with you?
Well, but it's a good question because somebody might not know.
You're right. But as for letting, so if I put this down for, depending on why I'm putting my cigar down. But if I put this down just because I got busy or got called away and I come back to it, as long as I'm with Kev, it's about 2 hours is my max. There have been occasions where I've been able to pick up a cigar 6 or 8 hours later. But there's also a process for relighting that cigar after it's been, sitting that long. So even 20 minutes, I think you should probably, I feel, in my opinion, that you're still going to go through that same process. And that's to blow out the cigar, before you do any drawing on it. Just blow it straight through and then start to relight it. But instead of puffing on it and trying to inhale or draw some of that back, but as you light it, try to blow that soot and that ash out the foot of the cigar instead of the cap.
Agreed.
I agree with most of that, but I would say if I know I'm not going to finish the cigar, I know that I'm going to try to have it later, I'm definitely going to cut the end of the cigar. Any of the ash or like say this cigar was going to be stopped, I'm going to cut it probably about here and lose that little bit on the end and blow out like Andy was saying, but the ash there just kind of festering and making things taste worse. I'd say if an hour is probably. There's been a few times where I put out a cigar, put it in my pocket, taken it someplace and smoked the rest of it, and it's been okay. It's not as good as when it first.
Yeah. I mean, same here. But my limit's probably an hour. If I'm not going to get back to it within an hour, I'm probably just going to call that one a loss.
Yeah.
I mean, but it does depend on how expensive the cigar was, too. So.
Yeah, if it was $25, I'm probably going to try to smoke it there.
Yeah, I'm probably going to try to smoke it again. Don't care. But, if it's affordable, everyday smoker, factory smoke, something like that, I'll probably let it go.
If it's $25 Davidoff, I'm going to see if I can get the ashes to look like a cigar again and maybe re-smoke them.
Yeah, and then try to smoke that.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
It's all about value, folks.
Yeah.
You don't they charge you more for it. It means you absolutely have to smoke it.
Yes.
We mentioned the cigar.
Even if it's awful, you're like, fuck this. I'm smoking that motherfucker.